Hey guys, Piplup here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 17 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. So, as you may know, I am on my way to London. By the time this video goes up, I will probably be in London already for the International Championships this weekend. And it's my first VGC 17 event, my first serious event in quite a while, and I'm really excited to be competing back in the circuit. So, I still wanted to pre-record a couple of episodes so you guys have content while I am gone. I will be back on Sunday afternoon-ish, and by then I hopefully will be using a new team on Road to Ranked, probably the team that I bring to that competition. In addition, I of course will be doing a team analysis / report of the current team that I'm using. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about it, so just stay tuned, it'll be up soon. We're gonna find a Japanese opponent for our first opponent of the day, and as always, if you enjoy Road to Rank, please share your support by leaving a like in the video, would really appreciate it. Anyway, my opponent here is rocking a team of double Tapu with Tapu Lele and Coco, Alolan Raichu, Celesteela, Arcanine, and Crocodile. So, first thing that jumps into mind is definitely the Raichu Tapu Koko combination, because Logan Torkoal puts in a lot of work against that, but the thing is, Raichu's going to be super fast if the electric terrain is up, and it will outspeed Logan, so that's kind of one of my concerns, because that means I can't just after you freely. I could, however, still lead Logan Torkoal and just go for a Sleep Powder Heat Wave, or like a double Protect. I also have the potential to switch into Tapu Bulu to get rid of the terrain, but then that means I don't have my, combination. I also might just go with the Oranguru Trick Room option. That seems a little bit more solid to me, quite frankly, because if I can get Trick Room up, then I don't have to worry about him outspeeding me. So I think I'm actually going to go Oranguru and maybe Drompa as a lead here. And the reason why I'm going with Drompa as opposed to like Salamence is because I guess Intimidate would still be useful, especially against Crocodile, though, since it is a Dark-type Pokemon. So yeah, I'll still go with Salamence and Oranguru with Torkoal in the back, and I do want Tapu Bulu as my last one. So I'm going to lock in, and we'll see how that goes. Opting not to bring Drompa, ultimately. Logan, it's like, if you don't go with the Sun mode as a lead, it's very rare you ever have Logan to the back, because it's just going to be really frail, not going to offer any offensive pressure whatsoever, and normally you just want to have it right next to Torkoal. So if you have it out when it's not next to Torkoal, then you're basically just relying on Sleep Powders. Well, you could still make some pretty cool after you plays, but after you is a lot more potent when it's with a move such as Eruption. So gonna go with Salamence and Oranguru. This is a lead that you guys have seen a fair amount now, as my opponent's going to bring the Tapu Koko and the Crocodile. So I'm actually kind of content that I did go with the Salamence Intimidate lead here. Yeah, that's kind of important against the Crocodile. So, no surprise here, Electric Surge will be coming out. I will get the Intimidate off first. That means that Crocodile is slower than my Salamence, so that's not a Scarf Crocodile. Also means that I can Draco Meteor safely into that slot. Maybe not safely, but of course Tapu Koko does not get Moonblast, it only gets Dazzling Gleam. So, maybe he can't even knock out my Salamence. Even if he does go for like a Dazzling Gleam Crunch though, I think I get my Trick Room up here, which is what I need. So I'm going to just go for the Draco onto Crocodile, saying, okay, if you don't knock my Salamence out, then I'm just going to get the Draco Meteor off against you. And I'm going to go for the Trick Room because, of course, the main strategy here is still definitely with Torkoal, because my opponent's team is definitely pretty Torkoal weak. So we'll see if we can get the setup going. I guess one thing that I didn't really consider is Wide Guard Celesteela, though, as Tapu Koko actually just goes straight for a Discharge, which I'm okay to see. So this combination, does allow you to Discharge. Actually gets the Paralysis on a Oranguru. This could be really bad, especially if a Rock Slide's coming out. Draco Meteor, however, is going to fortunately connect with the Crocodile. I think this Crocodile might be a Focus Sash one, but let's see. No, maybe, is that a Assault Vest? Like, I'm surprised I can take that attack that well, as Crunch is coming out here. So I should survive this. Hopefully no full Paralysis. Oh! You've got to be kidding me. I hate Discharge. Oh, that's so hard to come back from. That's so bad. Okay, I'm gonna Protect here. That is so frustrating, because if I get that off, I think I'm just in a really good position, but, yeah, what can you do? Not much I can do to prevent the Discharge, Paralysis and full Paralysis in one turn, but maybe I should consider a Lumberry on a Oranguru instead. But, yeah, that's why, teams that are heavily reliant on Trick Room, sometimes your opponent can just stop it through RNG like that, flinching, critting, or paralyzing you. But, yeah, that is really frustrating, because if he doesn't get that Paralysis, then I can just either switch in to Torkoal the next turn or sack one of my two Pokemon, and Torkoal just matches up really nicely against both of my opponent's Pokemon, but I can't just switch Torkoal in safely anymore because of the fact that it will take a lot of damage from a Discharge, especially with Electric Terrain up. So I do get the Protect up here at least, I guess, but that's still really frustrating. And Tapu Koko just goes for a Dazzling Gleam. So he does have Dazzling Gleam. Instead, he opted for Discharge, maybe hoping for Paralysis that first turn and actually getting it. And we do see the Crunch into the Protect slot. So that's okay, but it still begs the question, like, what do I do now? I think Tapu Koko is definitely the bigger threat, so I'm probably just going to Woodhammer that slot to try to pick up a knockout. The question is whether I want to switch Oranguru out. I still can't take another Crunch. Not at this range, I think. Like, I could switch into Torkoal here. But I'm not giving up the idea of maybe being able to set up a Trick Room in this match. Let's see. My opponent's team probably has Tapu Koko in the back, which was why I really wanted Trick Room up. Or sorry, Tapu Lele. And I would guess maybe Arcanine? Part of me wants to switch out into Salamence right now because I think my opponent might fear just a Woodhammer straight out. But that's also risky because he could just go for a Dazzling Gleam. Do I sack it? I don't want to give up setting up Trick Room. And Woodhammer into Koko. Almost running out of time there. Oranguru switches out, so he's not switching out here with Koko, so I kind of made the wrong call. I thought maybe Koko would switch out because he was going to fear a Hammer Arm into that slot. Or no, sorry, not a Hammer Arm, a Woodhammer, but let's see what it goes for. Maybe a Protect. Yeah, it does Protect. If anything, then I guess that works out okay, because Salamence takes some damage. He's just going to Crunch, yeah. He crits me too, come on. Are you kidding me? Woodhammer's just gonna go. That is... Ugh, this is so frustrating. So Crocodile's gonna heal back more. I'm not giving up yet, but it's just like if I got that initial Trick Room up, man, things would have been really nice. I think this means I do have to bring in Torkoal here. Maybe Oranguru could survive at -2. But the main issue is he can just Discharge. Like, he can double up onto a Oranguru slot. So I'm gonna bring in Torkoal. Like, this at least puts on some offensive pressure against my opponent's team now, but yeah, this has not been a very exciting battle in terms of me dealing with RNG. But, you know, a mark of a good player is someone who can at least not go on tilt and still play their best afterwards. So I'm not giving up yet. I think it's going to be a lot harder because I wasn't able to set up Trick Room, but it's definitely not over by any means. So if let's say I pick up a double knockout here, who does he bring in? If he has Arcanine, Arcanine's just my main concern right now, I would say. He also could switch Tapu Koko out. But he's not going to do too much damage with an Earthquake or anything. So maybe just a Heat Wave Horn Leech here. Yeah, so I can heal back as well. Could have Eruption. Crocodile switches out, okay. It is Arcanine coming in. So that's not a fun Pokemon to see. Especially because he was able to pick up that crit knockout onto my Salamence. Because Salamence was my best way of dealing with Arcanine. Yeah, he just goes for a Thunderbolt there onto Torkoal. It's going to do, yeah, good amount of damage. Horn Leech plus Heat Wave should pick up the KO here, at least. As long as I don't miss Heat Wave here. But then it's like, where do I go from there? Because now I'm just really slow. Heat Wave does connect here, at least. Yeah, it does pick up the knockout. Maybe I could have Stone Age predicted the Arcanine switch in, but I don't know, that would have been kind of hard to do. And now I'm in the predicament where it's like, I think he just brings in Crocodile and just kind of goes from there. And it's lefties Arcanine as well, okay. So, yeah, my main strategy this game was to set up Trick Room and go, you know, Eruption, Instruct, etc. But that obviously was not doable, given the circumstances. Frustrating, but there's only so much you can do. And like I said, if I had like a Lumberry or something, I could have prevented that. But obviously I don't. I have the Mentor, but I'll probably switch that item. Yeah, it's a little bit late, I guess, since we're almost done with this team on Road to Ranked. But I do think something like a Citrus Berry or a Healing item definitely would have helped on this team. As it's going to be Lele as the last one. That's still not very fun to see. Yeah, because Psychic is... And is that a Psychic Seed? Yeah. So I'm intimidated and Terrain's not up anymore on my side. And the Psychic will probably just knock Torkoal out. I think I've lost this one, honestly, already. I'm trying to see how I can win. And the question is, like, can I set up a Trick Room? It's basically impossible, though. That's the main thing. And I, like, basically need to switch Bulu out here because that at least gets rid of the Terrain and the Intimidate. So I guess I could Protect here and switch out into Oranguru, but Yeah, that turn 1 was just a disaster. I should have expected the discharge possibility. Just didn't expect paralysis and full paralysis in one turn. But that's Pokemon for you. Let's see what my opponent goes for here. So, gonna protect with Torkoal. Oh, he actually goes for a burn up. That's a pretty cool move. And does pick up the knockout with the Sun. So I believe now it's typing, it's just regular? Like normal? I think that's how burn up works. But yeah, the main issue here is obviously speed, right? You see that my opponent is basically able to outspeed me, and that's because I wasn't able to get up the trick room that I was trying to set up in the beginning of the game. Man, this game would have gone so differently if I just got trick room up turn 1. But there's only so much you can do, as always. So, gonna quit dwelling on that. I just don't think there's any foreseeable way to win this, though. Especially with Crocodile still in the back. Like, Arcanine has super effective damage against Tapu Bulu. Tapu Lele Psychic still probably just knocks out Torkoal outright. I guess I can Heat Wave. Maybe hope for a Tapu Lele Protect, and I'll Stone Edge into Arcanine. But, like, that's the only foreseeable way. I think if my opponent just double attacks here, like, it's over. I could have gone for a double protect with Torkoal, I suppose. But then the question is, who does Bulu do? Does he hammer on Tapu Lele? Like, I shouldn't... No, Arcanine actually switches out. That's even better played by my opponent. Yeah, that makes sense. You get the Intimidate off here, and you get to cycle an Arcanine for another Intimidate. Which is why I really wanted Mence, and Lele does protect. Yeah, okay. Safest play possible, and a smart one at that as well. So, Stone Edge actually misses Crocodile, Heat Wave. Let's see if this one connects. It does. I actually would have preferred for me not to hit that one, I guess, because then at least he doesn't have a way to hit my Tapu Bulu for super effective, and I could potentially try to knock his Lele out. Like, maybe it's not over, but I think it is. Especially because Sun's running out, too. Arcanine comes back in, and I'm at -2 now, so I obviously need to get a critical hit with Tapu Bulu if I even want to stay in this. But I might not even be able to get an attack off. I just know that Tapu Bulu is super bulky. Protect is kind of obvious from Torkoal. So perhaps I'll just Heat Wave here, and I don't know, like the thing is, like, protecting with Tapu Bulu doesn't do much. It just like might divert an attack away for a turn, and if I could like crit or burn with Heat Wave, like maybe that'll give me something. Although burn did get nerfed as well in this generation. Let's see. I could protect and try to crit Woodhammer Tapu Lele, but yeah, I guess I'll go for that. Or maybe crit the Stone Edge, because that's a higher crit ratio and that should knock out Arcanine anyway. Because it gets rid of the attack boost, but he might just double up into Bulu here. Yeah, there's a burn up. That much is not surprising. The question is what Lele does. I think I should survive this. Jeez! Wow, no. I underestimated the power of Tapu, of burn up. I mean, it is under the sun, and it is an Arcanine, so it's not too surprising there. So yeah, there's not very much I could have done, and, this one was one of the games where it was like, I think, like, there was some pretty crazy RNG. I mean, I guess getting a Discharge Para and Full Para, the odds of that aren't, like, absolutely ridiculous, but they are pretty minimal. And so it's like, my opponent doesn't get that this game plays out very differently, and my team isn't very well equipped dealing with that. Like, I have ways to basically guarantee Trick Room to get up, and most of my losses, as you've seen with this team, it's like me being surprised and not getting up the Trick Room. So, for example, when we played Shady a couple of episodes ago, it's because I didn't know my Alolan Marowak calcs very well when it's under the sun. And in the case of today, like, I just should have anticipated Discharge, you know. But even with that Discharge combination, I don't know if there's anything I can do. It's just one of those situations where, like, I have to hope my opponent doesn't get super lucky. But, yeah, I'm not sure if there were any plays that I could have done, like, substantially better. I guess leading Lilligant Torkoal actually wouldn't have been too bad there, because my opponent did not bring the Alolan Raichu, and I would have just exerted eruption pressure right from the start. So if anything, like, maybe that would have made a difference, because then we saw that obviously there was no Alolan Raichu, so I didn't have to worry about him outspeeding me, so I would have had speed control. So if anything, I assessed this game ultimately to maybe having a different lead matchup could have played, like, things would have played out a little bit differently, and if Discharge didn't get that paralysis, but Yeah, I shouldn't have put myself in a position where it's like, oh, if my opponent just gets a paralysis and a full paralysis, I like almost instantly lose the game. So I should have prevented that a little bit better. But let's try to bounce back in our next game. Our opponent's got a team of Tapu Koko, Gyarados, Alolan Marowak, Metagross, Alolan Meowth, that's not Meowth, Persian, and Porygon 2. So kind of a similar team composition from our last game. Kind of, not really. I think Lilligant Torkoal is actually the way to go here because my opponent's team is pretty weak to that, bar Gyarados, Porygon, which is still, you know, takes a lot of damage from Eruption, and a low Marowak, so I'm going to bring Drampa here, I think, too. And I do want Tapu Bulu. Although it feels weird not bringing Mens here. Maybe I just still want Mens. The reason why I'm leaning towards Drampa is because if he sets up Trick Room, then Drampa actually just outspeeds everything and knocks stuff out. I could choose not to bring Tapu Bulu instead. But I just love having Tapu Bulu against Gyarados. I guess outside of Gyarados, though, it doesn't do very much at all, so maybe I actually won't bring Tapu Bulu, and I'll go Double Dragon here. Because he does, of course, have a Fairy type, but it is Tapu Koko, which we saw only as Dazzling Gleam. So, yeah, let's see if we can recover in this next one. Last game, definitely a little bit frustrating. I could have led better, but given the best of one situation, like, I didn't mind my lead very much. It was like, I felt pretty comfortable with that. But in a best of 3, I would probably consider leading Lilligant Torkoal. And of course, all the bigger events in VGC are best of 3, such as the London International this weekend. But it's going to be a Lilligant Torkoal here from me, Gyarados, and Persian from my opponent. Okay. This isn't amazing. It's also not the worst. Like, there are a bunch of options here. Gyarados doesn't do very much offensively to me. So, and Persian has Fake Out access, but I'm not really too worried about that. I could just double protect to blow a Fake Out, but he could go for a Dragon Dance. So I think I'm actually just going to go straight for his Sleep Powder onto Gyarados and a Heat Wave here. Because there's not that much damage pressure onto Torkoal, Torkoal can maybe just get a free Heat. Not necessarily free, but get a lot of damage off here with free, Heat Wave while not taking as much in return. And so, yeah, basically I'm kind of worried about the Fake Out Dragon Dance play, because Dragon Dance just makes Gyarados a little bit more annoying, so if he does go for that, I at least get a lot of damage off, or I put it to sleep, and it doesn't even get a Dragon Dance off. Of course, my opponent also could just attack with Persian, doesn't have to necessarily Fake Out, or, you know, maybe switch out with one of the two. But, yeah, this is like one of those leads where it's like, it's not the best because I can't just like straight up pick up one-hit KOs. As we do see Fake Out come out, it is going to target down that Lilligant. Okay, we also could see Taunt come out from Gyarados. But nope, just a Waterfall coming out. Okay. So given that the sun is out, shouldn't do too much damage. It was a little bit more than I would have liked, but not the end of the world. Heat Wave here, get some pretty good damage off on both Pokemon. So now the question is, do I want to go for the Sleep Powder play? I think I do. I'm just going... So here's the thing about Sleep Powder, right? I could Sleep Powder Heat Wave, because if I hit it, then he's guaranteed to stay asleep for a turn. Or I could Sleep Powder Protect, where it's like, if I hit it, then he burns the turn to sleep instantly. So I think I'm actually just going to Sleep Powder Heat Wave here. Maybe I actually want to After You. I don't know what Persian really does, and I'm kind of scared. And I know it gets access to something like Snarl as well. So yeah, I'm going to After You, and I'm going to Eruption here, because I don't want to risk missing. And Gyarados actually protects. Perfect. Unless Persian protects as well, but that doesn't make sense since Persian should be faster. So I do get this After You off. Great. So that should just be a knockout. And that does mean that the Gyarados slot is threatened the next turn. It also means that I put in some more offensive pressure against whatever switching in for Persian. So that turn played out nicely. And that was the other play I was thinking my opponent might go for. Like, expecting maybe a Protect on Torkoal. So you protect your Gyarados to avoid a Sleep Powder, and then attack maybe the Lilligant slot with your Persian. So let's see what comes in now. There's still definitely a lot of threats. It's going to be Marowak. Okay, no, that's not the end of the world. It could be a lot worse, that's for sure. It did bring Vents, right? Good. Double Dragon, definitely helpful to have here. So let's see. He could just Flare Blitz into the Lilligant. I might just After You Heat Wave here, because then I get the free switching into Salamence. That's so reckless, though. Yeah, I think it's better to actually Protect and switch into Salamence. Yeah, I like that more. I'm gonna play safer here. I don't want to just, like, make very aggro reads without much good reasoning. The issue is my opponent could predict me here and go for an Ice Fang or a Flare Blitz in the last slot, but I don't anticipate that being the case. That could be bad, though, and that's always something you have to contemplate when you're making a switch out. But I'm protecting here instead of Sleep Powdering, so this next turn I exert full pressure with Draco Meteor and Sleep Powder. Gyarados does Dragon Dance, though, okay. So it does have Dragon Dance, not too surprised to see that, but that does make it a little bit scarier. And we do see the Boomerang into Silence. Okay, so I could have Sleep Powder there. I'm going to just Sleep Powder Gyarados here. Oh, if I miss, though, that could be really bad. I could after you Draco Meteor as well. Maybe I want to contemplate switching out, actually. Yeah, I could Sleep Powder and switch back out into Drampa. But he calls also Protect. So does it come down to me hitting a Sleep Powder? Because if I miss, he Ice Fang Flare Blitzes and I probably just lose the game like that. So I could offer you Draco, but he could also Protect. And he might not expect on spec, so I'm gonna Sleep Powder Draco Marowak here. And Gyarados does Protect. Okay, great. Well, we'll see if Marowak protects here, because if it doesn't, then that's getting knocked out. And it doesn't. Nice. Well, it should be getting knocked out at least. So, gonna get this Draco Meteor off, full powered into the Lola Marowak slot. Spec Draco Meteor, Modest Nature. Yep, picks up the knockout. Excellent. So that's really good. But I am at -2 now, so I can't just knock out the Gyarados freely. So let's see what comes in right now. He is at neutral attack because he got the Dragon Dance off, but I did get an Intimidate off. It's going to be Tapu Koko as the last one. Okay. It's not too bad, but still definitely concerning. Still has a lot of presence for sure. I'm going to Sleep Powder Gyarados here. Actually, maybe I want to Sleep Powder Tapu Koko. Because I do have Drampa on the back. But the question is, do I want to conserve Mence right now? Like, maybe I just sack it to a Ice Fang here. Maybe I should just Sleep Powder Gyarados. Yeah, I'm going to Sleep Powder and Draco into that slot, because he protected last turn. So I'm hoping maybe I could close this game out with Drampa. Especially with the Hyper Voice threat. And I do miss the Sleep Powder, though, and he gets the Dazzling Gleam off. Okay. Doesn't knock me out. And he's Life Orb. That's pretty good to see. And he does have Ice Fang. Who does he target down? It is going to target down the Lilligant slot instead. That's really bad, actually. Draco does connect at least, but they don't suspect this will be knocking it out. It's probably Citrus Berry too, if I had to guess. Wow, that almost knocks it out, but just misses out. This is where having Tapu Bulu definitely would have helped out. That's okay, though. It's not over yet. I'm going to bring in Torkoal, and he didn't have Citrus on Gyarados, so that's also a big deal. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to bring in Torkoal. I'm going to protect here with Torkoal. I wish I brought Tapu Bulu. It would have won me the game against this combination, I think, with Horn Leech. But, yeah, you know, I was kind of scared of bringing it against my opponent's team comp. Especially with, like, Metagross and low Marowak. But I could have assessed that a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to protect Torkoal here, and I'm just going to launch another Draco into Gyarados. I don't plan on getting this off, but the idea is to get the free switch into my Drampa. Oh, he might be Dragon Dancing again, though, with Gyarados. That would be a really interesting play, but a Dazzling Gleam coming out here, so no Thunderbolt, no Discharge or anything like that. Okay, what does Gyarados go for? Okay, he doesn't Dragon Dance again. I was really scared of that. So he just Waterfalls into that slot, so that's a free switch into Drampa. Oh, okay. However, an electric type attack might just knock me out. I'm gonna Heat Wave here. Can I survive a Thunderbolt? I feel like probably not. So he probably Thunderbolts and Ice Fangs. So would Hyper Voice be able to knock him out? The Tapu Koko. Because I also... Is the sun still up? Yeah, because I switched in Torkoal again. Because I could Heat Wave Tapu Koko. If I don't think Hyper Voice will knock out. But then he could still Ice Fang Drampa. so I'm just gonna Hyper Voice. That might have been a mistake. Oh no, Tapu Koko protects. Unless Gyarados also protects. Oh. That's the Water Z move. That's a really good time to use it. Although I think I could win the 1v1 between Tapu Koko and Drampa. Or Drampa. Sorry, I've been mispronouncing it apparently. I think it's Drampa, not Drampa. So this will probably knock me out. Oh, it doesn't even knock me out. What? Okay. So I get this Heat Wave off. Yeah, I don't think my opponent should have protected there with Tapu Koko, honestly. I think he should just attack. Okay. When I have single target Hyper Voice, which could just knock him out, I might protect here with Torkoal. I'll consider it. With Drampa, let's see. Hyper Voice is 90, boosted by Stab, and now single target. Flamethrower is 90 with the Sun Up. So I think Flamethrower does more? Yeah. Let's see. Maybe I actually want him to knock out my... Oh, no. No. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna Heat Wave here, and I'm just gonna Flamethrower. With Sun still up, hopefully I can get a Berserk boost as well if he doesn't... Because Dazzling Gleam won't knock me out here. Actually, I wonder how much it'll do. That can't be a crit. Please don't tell... Oh, I love Pokemon, guys. I love Pokemon so much, and this episode was very, very enjoyable and fun. There's no way that knocks me out without that crit, because, like, Salamence can hang on with no investment. Oh, wow. This was an episode of RNG Extremes, if anything, honestly, because I feel like I played relatively well in both games, and I made, for the most part, the right calls. I'm sure there are a couple plays I could have done a little bit better, but, woof, that was frustrating, guys. That was definitely not the most fun I've had playing this game, but, hey, it happens, you know? Sometimes you do just put yourself in positions where you can lose. That's just something about teams in general. Like, if you use a team that's slower, then you're more susceptible to getting crit or flinched or paralyzed. And that really was the case. Like, that's why this team definitely has its weaknesses, one of them being, oh, it's really slow, so it's kind of reliant on attacking second after your opponent. So... yeah, really a frustrating one, but, you know, it is what it is, and I feel like the games were still pretty evenly close, so, second one more than the first one, but definitely a little bit frustrating, but we'll just try to bounce back in the next one, and I still had a lot of fun, and I didn't feel like, you know, it was like me just getting outclassed or anything, but, you know, credits to my opponent, of course, as well. I think they played really well, and they put themselves in the positions where they needed. Like, the first one, obviously my opponent wasn't as much relying on the RNG as the second one, where he, I think, basically needed that crit to win the game, but, yeah, sometimes RNG is just part of the game, and you have to accept that and, you know, deal with it. And I, once again, could have put myself also probably in better positions where, you know, I could have avoided getting crit or stuff like that. So, definitely a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. And we're just going to try to recover in the next one. But still a really fun episode. Our first one losing 2 games. But there's a reason why I do Road to Ranked, right? I don't want to just showcase games of me winning or dominating opponents. Like, I think it's really good to showcase losses too, because it shows you guys how, you know, players who have played VGC for a long time or have experience can really easily lose sometimes as well. So, yeah, if there's anything, it's a good learning lesson or two. So, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, peace.